Okay, we are live at 11:05 on BC. This is Spirit Cars. Josh, the voice of Spirit Cars, behind the camera. He's back there waving away. We're working on the Blue Moon, and we may give you a little snapshot of, I don't know, this thing has got an alias. I'm just going to call it the Black Knight, but we might give you a little preview of that. But I've been working on AC lines, and I'm just going to show you how we do some crimping. We used to use I won't say their name, but a parts store, and we would send our AC lines out to have them done, and we kept getting leaks. You've got to pull a vacuum to make sure there's no leaks, and we kept getting leaks. And after you do everything and you put your hoses together and you get a leak, it's like, what? So after that happened a couple times randomly, I'm like, what's up with this? Oh, our dies are messed up, and we don't do enough AC hoses to justify buying a new die. You remember that conversation, Josh?
Yeah.
So needless to say, we don't use that parts store anymore ever for anything, do we?
No.
Okay. So we do enough AC lines, and the unfortunate thing when you're a small town like this, there's not a whole lot of choices. So we probably got more AC stuff and for what we do for hot rodding than probably anybody else in town or wherever. So I've been working on getting a couple pieces we didn't have, but we got this. We were thinking about getting a hydraulic one, which was pretty pricey.
700.
700. So I was looking, and Josh was back and forth, and we were going to do that. And I said, for what we do, let's just get this one. And we got this one. I don't even know what the brand was.
Master Cool.
Master Cool. Master Cool. You guys should give me some kind of kudos for that. So there's that. We got this. We've had this thing a few years now.
Oh yeah.
And I like it. I like it a lot. The way it works is pretty simple. I just bolted the main piece onto the table here. Fold over. You put your thing in. It's got several different dies, and they just come in and out very simply. They got a little marking on them. Tells you what they are. You can probably see that better than I can without my glasses, 8. But 8 and that. So you get the right die for the fitting that you have. Put the dies in. Pretty simple. Just make sure they're in all the way for this particular one. Some of the fittings, not all, I've already crimped this one, will have a little hole in them, and the purpose of that hole is to make sure that you put your hose all the way down. So now it's not there, but if I push it in a little bit more, I can see it. If not, I would recommend that you push it all the way in, mark it with your finger where it's at, and then when you pull it out, just set it back up against it to make sure you're all the way in. But it is important that you get this hose all the way into the fitting. Pretty simple. You set it in there, put it down. There's a little pin that holds it, locks it in place. Screw it down. Up, loosen it up. For this particular one, you got to make sure you take it back far enough or it won't open all the way up. It'll look like that. If you just open it all the way, it will swing all the way open. So there you go. We have a decent crimp. I probably want to do that again over here on this side to make sure. But the bottom line is, there we go. Now let's go put this on the car. I think I started this part of the project by talking about eating an elephant, one bite at a time. And another thing that, well, there's an O-ring that goes on this. Make sure your O-rings are on. Put a little oil on them, that never hurts. When you push them in there, I got a box of O-rings.
Now the question is where's your little snack box you always have?
Snack box. Do I
Yeah,
have
you used to always have candy or something.
Oh. This is true. Right side O-ring is pretty important. So I got a couple sizes here. Put the O-rings on, and now when you're dealing with AC, an AC line and a hydraulic line both handle a lot of pressure, but they're not the same line. That Freon will actually eat up a rubber hose, so make sure you get AC line. Just need to have AC line, AC fittings, and the same with the O-rings. There's a special O-ring for AC. So I've got these. I've pre-fitted a lot of it here. So I'm back to my elephant. All right, I started, and I'm looking and where to start. Okay, the AC was what I know was going to be the trickiest part of it. And again, like I say, look at the whole project. I've said that over and over and over and over. You hate to back up to go forward. So in this project, I've got to admit, I had to back up to go forward. And I can show you that here in just a second. Larry's put a lot of this together, and he, I don't know if this motor came out of another car, if it's been started or not. If it needs a break-in, we'll talk about that. I'll get with Larry about that. But it had a 90-degree water neck here. Well, that wasn't good, so I put a 60-degree, so it comes up a little more of an angle. It had hoses that I needed to run my hoses for the heat. Well, I needed to put a fitting in here, and I need, of course, a fitting on the water pump. So you got two fittings to run your AC hoses, or your hoses for your heat. And I'll come around. I've got them run, but I wasn't thinking. I've got this fit. This bracket wasn't exactly working. And make sure when you put your compressor on, this one was to the side. There's an oil fill right here. It has to be going up like this. These are pretty square, so you can put it any direction, but it needs to come up. So I flipped that around. This bracket was on here. It was on that, but there was no way to attach it here. It hits on the valve cover. This is going to be going under that, but hits on the valve cover. It was just kind of in the way. My belts weren't lining up, so I had to move it forward on the bracket. I had to make this little piece for the bracket. Okay, I got it all lined up, got it done, got it. I'm pretty excited. Went to put my hoses on for the AC, or for the heater. I could not put this little fitting in right here. It's a 90. It comes out. It would not spin around that, so I had to undo the bracket, put it back in, do it all. I'm not sure I could have pre-thought that. I probably could have, but I was focused on the AC. Again, look at your project, the whole overall project. What it comes down to, the biggest difference between a professional and an amateur is not necessarily the quality of the work. I've got to make a living doing it. And I'm sure that Larry doesn't want to charge or have me charge him to do the same thing twice, because I was not aware of what to do. So don't get frustrated at home. I'm gonna share some of my frustrations here, not to gripe, but just to say, if you're doing it at home, stuff happens. It happens in a shop where we're supposed to be professionals and get paid for it, and it happens at home too. And especially in regards, I've been waiting. I had hoped to have this done 2 days ago, and I'm still waiting for a couple AC parts. This one didn't fit. I didn't have that hose. A small town, and we, like I said, we have lots of AC parts and more than most part stores. But some of it I would have to wait 2 days, or then they ordered me the part, but I told them what I wanted, but they didn't give me what I wanted. I got the wrong part. Don't get frustrated. You don't have to make a living doing it anyway. Stay focused. It's about aesthetics. When we're detailing a motor, which we're doing now, this is important for your motor to look good as the whole car, because people, that's what they're going to look at here. When you do AC lines, there are a lot of hoses. There's no way around that. We want to get them clean. We want to get them tidy. We're going to put clamps on everything. I was able to get a block in here, so everything's coming out of there. There will be, on your heater, you've got to be able to turn on and off the flow of the water going through the heater core. I don't have a lot of room inside the car, so this is a block, and it actually bolts on pretty nice. This is a vintage air system, so there's a plug-in for this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'll bolt it up onto to the firewall here. I can cut my hose and fit my hose on both sides of that, so it looks clean. As you're running all this stuff, it's just a matter of opinion. I've got to have the high on the high and the low on the low for the service ports. But if I have it here, if I have it here, or over here, it doesn't matter. The dryer needs to be within the range of, between the condenser and the evaporator, and things need to be in the general place they need to be. But stand back, look at the overall. Okay, how's my motor going to look aesthetically? That's important. It has to function. That's just a given. Period. If it don't work, you're gonna have to fix it. But try to make it look as pleasing as possible. The best AC that we've ever done, and it's comes down to what's your budget, and it's not only just what's your budget. Even if you can afford it, maybe it's something you don't want to do. But we did stainless steel lines. We had to make all the fittings. We had to weld, we cut and bent the stainless to the way we wanted it. We welded the stainless together, so there was no rubber hosing. Everything was stainless steel lines. It was welded, it was sanded, it was polished, it was looking good. And sometimes you don't have no choice. You just can't buy the part. Going around inside here, there's no way I could take and make this bend with hose. If you look at one of the, if I would try to make this angle with this, it came around there. You've got this far, but for the hose, that hose is just not going to, it just wouldn't work. But I had to come around because I really wanted to put the block here. Aesthetically, I like it. I'm going to go on that side if you want to show, no, go the other way. So I've got my block coming through on the inside here. This one here, I've been able to put two fittings on it. I can come around, I can bend it, I can do it here, and I'm good to go. Well, it's going to go like this. And I had a fitting on this already to test it, but this one's already fitting the way I want it. It'll work in there. Well, this one was a bigger line, and there is no way I could get around there. So I made the part, it'll screw in back here, and it'll screw in onto my unit there. These are aluminum, the center pieces. I just took multiple, I took 3 fittings, cut them apart, and we just tigged and made our own piece. It may not be, it looks like a contraption, but it's good solid welds, and it may not be something that I would want to see out under the car, but it's pretty functional. It's pretty, doesn't look that bad. It'll all be hidden under here. So got it all, thinking it out. Again, I'm going to stand back now before I really tighten anything up. I've got an upper hose. This is really nice. It's metal. You can fold it. I don't have this piece on here, but there's some adapters. You can go from different sizes. If you do get this hose, here's a tip of the day you don't want to forget, because serious injury could occur, I assure you, because we know from experience. The clamps that come with a lot of these China brand kits are crap. Look at them. If you've got a bad hose clamp, take it off, throw it away, get yourself a good hose clamp. They go under here, they hide, and you can clamp it. But if you don't have this clamp good, because you've got a couple pieces of rubber that's going to go under here, you kind of see how this goes. And then it's got a rubber adapter under there, because that's a little bit smaller, but I can fit that, and this goes into that. So this looks good, aesthetically pleasing. The bottom side, the way this is, I'm pretty tight here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take me a piece of welding rod or something, and I will bend that angle. I'll bend what I need here, and I'll go over the parts store and take my section. I need this much of it, and it needs to be bent like this, and there'll be probably 100 hoses over at the parts store. I don't need the whole hose. The whole hose may be this big, and it may go around like who knows. But as long as I find that angle and I find the right diameter that'll fit on there, it'll fit much better than that metal hose. It's down here low. I can get it on there, get it right, clamp it on, good to go. Got your kickdown cable. We'll probably go with a different style kickdown cable. I seen Larry had a couple different hoses. We're going to change out. I'm working on vacuum lines and all that kind of stuff now. I really need to research this carburetor a little bit. It doesn't have a fuel pressure. I don't know that it needs it or not. If you're using an Edelbrock, especially if you got like an Edelbrock 600, you'll want to have a pressure regulator and a gauge for your fuel. May not be necessary on this. I don't know for sure. So we're getting close. This is one of those I had hoped to be done 2 days ago. It's not like I didn't put the time and effort into it, but I've got more time going back and forth to the parts store and figuring it out and putting a part on and taking a part off. Again, not to complain, but to say that it's just part of the nature of the job sometimes. Obviously we can't charge for mistakes. If you're at home just don't get frustrated. Just stay focused, look at the big picture, and go ahead. Larry probably wants to see the Black Knight, do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure.
At least something. Let's show him something. Well, I'm liking it. We've got the wood brakes coming.
Yes.
We didn't have them in here because it's all going to be new on that, so it's just bolt on, so they should be here like any day. So we'll get them bolted on and get the rear end together. I'm really liking it. It's looking real tight. It's looking mechanical. It's looking like a Knight. But there we go. So Ed, say hi.
Hi.
We're visiting. Tell us about insurance. Oh, we built most of the parts and pieces for a car. You built the car. It was an awesome car. It's a track, 23 track style. Really nice car. Got stolen how long ago?
5 weeks.
Got stolen 5 weeks ago. And I wouldn't mind saying the insurance company. Do you want to say the insurance company?
Don't want to. Grundy.
Grundy. Okay, Grundy. You've got Grundy Insurance. And Grundy looked at the car, and you said the car was worth X amount of money, and they said okay. And you paid for your car to be worth X amount of money. And now they're saying your car wasn't worth that, even though that you paid that.
Right.
Now we've done business with a lot of different companies, and I'm not going to, say this or that. Pick companies. We say we don't build hot rods here. We build dreams. You had a dream for a while. Now you got a nightmare.
Yep.
The insurance company is not. What are they telling you? They want to.
It's been 5 weeks, and they're still trying to recover it.
Well, at some point they're going to have to say.
Right.
But then, be aware and read the small print in insurance. And I found in insurance, I used to deal with. I'm not going to mention any insurance companies one way or another, but Grundy is giving you a hard time, so they deserve a call out. You pay your money for insurance. Just that's what you paid your money for.
That's right.
Eddie was upset, and I mean the trailer was gone. They recovered the trailer, and the car was gone. It was a really super cool True Fire flames on it, and it was on their website a while ago. So whether it gets recovered or not, I don't see that happening.
Oh, yeah.
But when you buy insurance, make sure you're dealing with a company that's used to dealing with hot rods or dealing with the custom car that you got.
Like Haggerty.
Well, Haggerty. I've dealt with Haggerty. We've done some insurance jobs with some specialty car companies, and they don't argue. If you have a custom paint job, the Blue Moon over there is a custom paint job. This isn't a let's just blend a little bit here and go. No, this is a repaint the car. It doesn't matter if it's a little dent or whatever. That's just the nature of these cars that we have, and a lot of times they don't want you to drive the car very far. They'll allow you 1,000 miles a year or whatever. Every policy is going to tell you what it is. If you take it to your regular car insurance company, a lot of times they're going to charge you 2, 3, 4, 10 times more than what a specialty insurance will charge you, and you won't get near the coverage that you would. There are some great insurance companies out there, and we're working with Eddie to help make this a smooth process, but it comes down to the adjusters dragging his feet and they're just wanting to find it. So unfortunately, we're glad to see you. You used to be around all the time. Glad you came by to visit, but under better circumstances next time. So we're going to get some, you remember Ernie, don't you? Ernie the Hot Rod Man? He wrote a couple books. And we always end these little things with, one of them's Coffee Break Contemplations and the other one is Pass It On. So I just whip it open, read one, and this might, it always applies to something, so hopefully it maybe applies to what you got going on. And I could find one, but I'm not even going to flip around to find it. We're just going to go with what we find. I'm looking through them. They're all good here. Well, let's go with this one. This kind of applies to a lot of things. Just because something was not achievable before does not mean it is impossible. So sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes we almost give up before it's over, and we don't think we can get it, but that doesn't make it impossible. It's all going to work out. I was a little bit frustrated on this. How am I going to do, especially getting around in the front, how am I going to get that block in there? Can I even do it? Well, there was a couple minutes there that I was like, no, that ain't going to work. Sometimes you do got to back up a little bit to go forward. Sometimes you don't see what it's going to look like until you go forward a little bit. Then you can readjust. So I guess a good tip is stand back and look at it once in a while. Think about the big project, and we're moving ahead. So till tomorrow, see ya.